Hi everyone, Jonathan Ferguson here, keeper of firearms and artillery, with another of our weekly weapon videos. For those of you following along on social media, where you might be guessing what this is before you see this video, I'm sure this one was no problem at all. If you've played any First World War era computer games, or if you know your early 20th century firearms, you'd have spotted the Fusil Automatique Model 1917, or RSC 1917, to give it its sort of designer slash manufacturer name. You'd have spotted that right away. The reason we've chosen this one is that our collection is very strong in reference examples. We've sort of got one of everything, or one of the major type of most things you could think of. Lots of trials and experimental weapons, going right back to early times. What we're not super strong on is stuff with personal connections or battlefield evidence, if you like, and this rifle definitely has that. So this is one of several 1917s that we have, and you'll have spotted there a great big bullet hole in the front of the magazine, and then bursting out the back of the magazine, bending the sheet metal, deforming the receiver itself there quite dramatically. A lot of energy has been lost there. And then the front of the trigger guard is slightly deformed as well. So, although this could have been lying on the deck and been struck by a stray bullet, I can't help imagining that this was in fact in the hands of a French poilu, a French soldier. He must have been almost out of ammunition or out of ammunition, because the follower in here is undamaged, meaning that it would have to have been sitting pretty well flush. So he was, I would guess he's down to his last round or no rounds, but still charging forward, bayonet fixed. Don't have the bayonet for this one, unfortunately. And then a German 7.92 bullet, Mauser bullet, rifle or machine gun, has hit the front of the magazine, doesn't slow it down very much, burst out through the sheet metal, slowing down somewhat. It's spent most of its energy on the gun body, and then it's finally spent, possibly fragmented, on the front of the trigger guard. If I'm right, this rifle saved that man's life. So a little bit more speculative than I prefer to go, but it's really hard to not draw that conclusion from this evidence. Apart from anything else, if it was lying on the ground, I really don't think the bullet could follow that trajectory. This would have to have been sitting on a surface above the ground. So really the only reasonable conclusion that I can come to is that this was actually being held by a young soldier, or an older soldier, who knows, going forward or in a defensive position. We'll never know, and we'll never know who he was. And the rifle took the bullet for him, which is pretty sobering stuff for the likes of me, who sits on a chair and wanders around looking at guns for a job. But there you go. So the rifle as a type is fascinating. There's a nice long Forgotten Weapons video on the 1917 for you to go and check out and get all the historical details on it, technical details on it. Very briefly, this was way ahead of its time. The French introduced a modern gas-operated self-loading rifle, something akin to the M1 Garand, a long time before that. The Garand comes in 1936. The RSC is being issued in April 1917 in the middle of a world war. Pretty impressive stuff. It's firing the somewhat antiquated 8mm Lebel round, but you know, what can you do? Standardized ammunition at that point. 5-round magazine. This one's somewhat the worse for wear. A really good weapon, quite heavy, over 5 kilos, 5.75 kilos, something like that. 11 plus pounds, 11.5 pounds. But yeah, I'm sure the soldier carrying this had a lot of confidence in it. Although, of course, at that time, self-loading rifles were new. were not necessarily as reliable as they were going to become. So lots of firepower for those 5 rounds. But yeah, well, who knows what he thought about it, but I bet he was pretty pleased that it stopped a bullet for him. So join us again next week here. If you'd like to head over to the GameSpot gaming channel, we've got a long-running series there, as I'm sure you know by now. If you've ever played a computer game, I'm sure some of my ramblings will be interesting or amusing to you. We have links in the description for donation and how to become a member. And do come and visit one of our 3 sites. We've got the Leeds Museum, where I am at the moment, Fort Nelson, our artillery museum, and if you see arms or armour at the Tower of London, that's ours too. So check out one of those 3 if you can. And I'll see you again next time.